Thanks for joining. Let's introduce Sempronius Stretton with a little bit of nervousness on my part, in case you are already acquainted, and know more than I have learned about him in the last 9 months. But my observation here is that even if he is known, he's not well remembered in Bromley, and perhaps deserves to be better remembered than he is. Anyway, here he is. This is in a painting made in 1816, 1 year after the Battle of Waterloo. As a captain and later a major in the 40th Foot, the Somerset Regiment, Stretton fought at the battles of Vittoria and Pyrenees in Spain in 1813, at Toulouse in 1814, and New Orleans and at Waterloo, as well as Waterloo in 1815. And in this painting, he's at the pinnacle of his military career, dashing, distinguished, successful. And now he's appointed by the Duke of Wellington to serve as governor of the 15th arrondissement in Paris for the occupation, which lasted till November 1818. And he's sporting his Peninsular medal, the Order of Bath, and his Waterloo medal. He wasn't only a soldier, he was an accomplished artist. Some of the sketches and watercolours he made of birds he saw while serving in Quebec in the 1800s are among the most treasured possessions of the Canadian National Archives. And he was also an antiquarian, like his father, a builder, a Nottingham builder, and restorer of church, who restored churches there. And he helped save important Viking treasures in Ireland when he, after he'd settled there on his first marriage in 1821. So he isn't a son of Bromley, but he's an important historical figure associated with the borough. And if you want to see his surviving memorial, just go up to the parish church, St. Peter and St. Paul, top of the High Street, and go around carefully round behind the church, and you'll see among the headstones laid into the footpath at the back of the church, this stone, which was originally part of his memorial in the southwest corner of the churchyard, now occupied by the council gardener's stockyard. Because it's at the back of the church, his stone is less trodden on. It's not worn away like the stones at the front gate of the church, but it's still hard to get a good, clear picture of the inscription. You can probably make out Stretton, who died at Croydon, aged 59 years. In this one, this is the best picture I've made, I think, showing the whole inscription. But just in case you're thinking, what on earth how does he know what this means? I've typed the inscription as it's laid out on the right hand here: sacred to the memory of Colonel S. Stretton, CB, late of Lenton Priory, Notts, who died at Croydon on 6th of February 1842, aged 59 years. His distinguished services in the Peninsular and memorable Battle of Waterloo obtained for him several honorary decorations. There's a little bit of contention about what's right at the bottom of the headstone. And in case you're thinking, how does he know what this inscription reads? I haven't got unnaturally powerful eyesight, but we know that this is the inscription because it was recorded by a gentleman called Richard Holworthy in 1922, and you can see an annotated copy of his monumental inscriptions in the church and churchyard of Bromley, County Kent, in the local history section of the Churchill Library. And Holworthy's record is super important because it gets Stretton's Bromley Memorial a place in one of the most significant recent scholarly works about the Napoleonic Wars by Janet and David Bromley, ironically, who are found among the founders of the Waterloo Association in their 2-volume register of more than 3,000 memorials to soldiers who served with the Duke of Wellington in his campaigns. The Bromleys record the memorial as no longer extant because it was believed destroyed in a bombing raid in April 1941 that wrecked the church and part of the churchyard, that part of the churchyard where the memorial was originally located. So, we've discovered or rediscovered, if you like, an important memorial which deserves to be maintained alongside the two memorials to Stretton, which the Bromleys did capture in photographs. And these two memorials of Stretton, the one on the left here is at his birthplace in Nottingham, and the one on the right is in the church in Athlone in Ireland, where he lived with his wife Anne, the youngest daughter of Lord Castlemaine, two more impressive and well-preserved monuments. So, and finally, Stretton's memorialised in the Waterloo banquet painting in Apsley House. He was one of the 60 or 70 of the Duke of Wellington's most revered comrades invited to the banquet held on the 18th of June each year. I can't pick him out. I can't pick him out for you, but here he is in a study portrait done by the artist of the banquet painting, William Salter, as preparation for that painting in 1835, I think it is, which is now held in the National Portrait Gallery, although it's not on exhibit, even if the Portrait Gallery was open. There's a little mystery remaining of how Stretton came to be buried in Croydon, and here's the connection, and it's a connection with another important and forgotten part of borough history. This is Addiscombe Place, the main building of the East India Company's military seminary, photographed in 1859, looking a little sorry for itself and something in a state of disgrace after the disasters of the mutinies in the Bengal and Oud armies in the year previous, whose English officers were trained at Addiscombe between 1809 and 1861. Addiscombe was, Addiscombe House and the estate are now gone, demolished, but in their day they were imposing enough to attract visitors like J.M.W. Turner, who made this sketch, which is now in the British Library. And in its heyday in the 1830s, when it was at its peak production of officers and future governors of India, the college was ranked with the Royal Military Academy at Woolwich and the Royal Military College at Sandhurst, one of the three principal officer training colleges in the country. And you can see some of the cadets in the foreground of this picture. So you're saying, how have we got Sempronius Stretton there? Well, it turns out that Stretton was a visiting examiner at the half-yearly exams of the college, and he was an examiner by 1840 and 1841, and we get our first clue on this on his death certificate. This shows he died at 10 a.m. on the 6th of February 1842 of a strangulated hernia, and witnessed by, maybe a little bit not easily decipherable to you, but E. Stannis of Addiscombe College, present at the death. E. Stannis is Ephraim Stannis, and Ephraim Gerash Stannis was he was Lieutenant Governor of the East India College the East India Company's College between about 1834, 1851 and his death. So he was responsible for the exams and recruiting the visiting examiners from among well-established military senior officers who would take that role. And when we dig around in the semi-official periodicals of the services at the time, published in the 19th century, find two records of Stretton's attendance at the college. First in December 1840, when he was one of the colonels that was attending as a visiting examiner of the gentlemen cadets educated at Addiscombe. And again, more importantly, in December 1841, he's also listed with other examiners. The trail runs a bit cold after this, but it does account for his presence in Croydon. I suppose we can surmise that Stretton, having attended the exams in December 1841, maybe fell ill about that time and stayed on over Christmas and the New Year. Maybe was treated for his strangulated hernia, but obviously not successfully. Died early in February 1842. And Stannis was a witness in terms of his responsibility for him while he was at the college. I wish we knew more about Stretton. In his last will and testament, he asks that his diary, his books of occurrences, and travel books are burned as not worth keeping or reading, all except volumes 18 to 21. But what's happened to them, we don't know. The good news is that the level of discovery of new sources, especially letters and journals, around the Napoleonic Wars and people who witnessed it is unabated. And we're still seeing new volumes being published, if not monthly, then quarterly. And it gives me hope that we will see more personal records of the life of Colonel Stretton yet. In the meantime, it just remains to thank you for listening to that short version of my current research into Stretton.